Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wind Down Wednesday. I'm so excited, guys. I'm so excited. Listen, this is a place or a space I hold every week inside of our Nourish and Flow Circle online community. It's basically a community for women navigating perimenopause and menopause who are done, okay, who are done being told their symptoms are normal. So if you're here for the first time, I'm so glad you found this. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Welcome back. I really am glad you're here. Tonight, I want to talk about something that sits at the foundation of everything that we're building inside of the Nourish and Flow Circle this month. April is Nourishment Shift Month. 4 weeks of clinical archetype specific content built around one central question. Why isn't food working the way it should in perimenopause and menopause? So every week we go deeper into a different layer of that question. So tonight is where we begin. I'm excited. I'm excited. But before we talk about what to eat, when to eat, how to sequence your meals, or how to support your specific hormonal pattern through food, I want to make sure we're all starting from the same place. Listen, if we skip this part, none of the rest of what's going to be shared will make any sense. None of it. Okay. So tonight is the foundation, the gut hormone connection, what it actually is, why it matters specifically in perimenopause and menopause, and why nourishment, real clinical, effective nourishment starts here and not on your plate. So I want you to find a comfortable position. If you're lying down, let your body settle. If you're sitting, let your shoulders drop. We're not rushing anywhere tonight. Okay. So just get comfortable, just relax. I want to start with a question I hear in some form or another from a lot of women, okay, who come into our community, a Nourish and Flow community. They're saying, I'm eating well, I'm doing everything right. Why isn't my body responding? And I want you to hear me when I say this. That question is not a sign that you are falling apart. It's a sign that you've been given an incomplete picture because conventional nutrition advice was largely built on a model that treats the body as a simple input output system. You put good food in, you get good results out. Eat less, move more, track your macros, eat your vegetables, drink your water. Now, listen, none of that is wrong exactly, but it is profoundly incomplete for a woman whose hormonal terrain is shifting. In perimenopause, menopause, the rules change. The system governing what your body does with food has become significantly more complex, and the gut is at the center of that complexity. The gut, y'all, is not just a digestive organ. Now, I want that to land before we go any further. Your gut is an endocrine organ, it is an immune organ, it is a neurological organ, it is one of the primary sites where your hormones are processed, modified, and either cleared out of the body or recirculated. And when we talk about nourishment in the context of perimenopause, menopause, real nourishment, not just nutrition, we have to start here or there. We have to. So let me walk you through the actual mechanism because I think once you understand this, it changes how you think about food entirely. Now, your gut houses approximately 38 trillion microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, archaea, viruses. This is your gut microbiome, and it is not a passive passenger in your body. It is an active participant in virtually every physiological process that governs how you feel, including your hormones, your estrogen. Now, after it has done its work in your tissues, gets sent to your liver for processing. The liver packages it up, conjugates it, and sends it down into the gut via bile. to be excreted. That's the plan. That's the plan. That's what's supposed to happen. But inside your gut lives a specific collection of microorganisms called the estrobolome. And the estrobolome is one of the primary sources of an enzyme, beta-glucuronidase, that can take that packaged estrogen and unconjugate it, essentially unwrap it. And when that happens, the estrogen doesn't get excreted, it gets reabsorbed back into circulation. So you have estrogen that was supposed to leave your body, that your liver already processed and cleared, coming back, re-entering your system, adding to a load that is already fluctuating and dysregulated in perimenopause and menopause. This is one of the primary mechanisms behind estrogen dominance. And it's driven not by how much estrogen your ovaries are producing, but by what's living in your gut and what those microorganisms are doing with the estrogen your liver already cleared. Now, let's bring cortisol into this picture. Cortisol and estrogen have a bidirectional relationship. Elevated cortisol suppresses progesterone production, which shifts the estrogen to progesterone ratio further toward estrogen dominance. And simultaneously, that elevated cortisol is altering the composition of your gut microbiome. Stress changes your gut bacteria. It reduces microbial diversity. It increases the populations of bacteria that produce more beta-glucuronidase. So the chronic low-grade cortisol elevation that several of the women within our community are living with is actually feeding the very cycle that's driving the hormonal symptoms they came here to address. And I want to make that tangible for a moment because this is not abstract. When a woman tells me she's bloated, even though she's eating clean, that's often estrobolome dysregulation compounding an already disrupted gut environment. When she tells me her periods are heavier, her breasts are tender, she can't lose weight around her midsection, no matter what she does, right? Those are estrogen dominant symptoms. And the gut is frequently the driver, not her ovaries, not her age, her gut. When she tells me she's anxious for no reason, that she feels wired at night and exhausted in the morning, that food doesn't seem to settle the way it used to anyway, that's the cortisol gut hormone cascade running without interruption. This is why I keep saying that nourishment is not just about what you eat. Because you can eat the most pristine, anti-inflammatory, estrogen supporting diet on the planet. And if your gut microbiome is dysregulated, if your estrobolome is overactive, if your cortisol is chronically elevated, the food is working against a current it cannot overcome on its own. The gut hormone connection is the current, and we have to address the current first. So let me shift now to what this actually means for how we approach nourishment this month, the month of April. When I talk about nourishment inside of our circle, the Nourish and Flow circle, I'm talking about something more specific than eating well, having a good diet. I'm talking about feeding your system, your gut, your hormone pathways, your nervous system, your metabolic function in a way that's calibrated to your specific pattern. And the gut hormone connection tells us a few things very clearly, okay? First of all, microbial diversity is non-negotiable. The more diverse your gut microbiome, the more resilient your estrobolome. A diverse microbiome means more balanced beta-glucuronidase activity, not too high, not too low. Estrogen can be cleared efficiently. The cycle doesn't feed itself. Microbial diversity comes from dietary diversity, not from eating perfectly, from eating broadly, okay? a wide range of plant fibers, fermented foods, polyphenol rich foods. That is not a restrictive protocol, okay? It is an expansive one. And I mean that clinically. Restriction narrows your microbial population, variety expanded. Now, the research on this is consistent and it directly contradicts the elimination heavy advice that some perimenopausal women have been given. Okay. For some of you who have been avoiding this food and eliminating that one, this approach is going to feel fundamentally different because it is. Okay. Because it is. Second, fiber is a hormone clearing mechanism, not just a digestive one. Both soluble and insoluble fiber support estrogen clearance, but through different mechanisms. Soluble fiber binds conjugated estrogen directly and escorts it out before the estrobolome has the chance to reabsorb it. Insoluble fiber reduces intestinal transit time, which limits the window that beta-glucuronidase has to do its work in the first place. So you need both consistently in adequate amounts. Some women in perimenopause are not getting enough. And listen, I'm not saying that because you're not trying. I'm saying that because no one probably has explained why fiber matters beyond digestion and cholesterol. Well, now you know, right? And then third, the gut lining is the gate. Your gut lining is a single cell layer thick, one cell. And when that lining is compromised through chronic stress, poor sleep, alcohol, NSAIDs, dysbiotic bacteria, it becomes permeable. Lipopolysaccharides, bacterial fragments, partially digested food proteins move through that lining and into circulation. This triggers systemic inflammation, and systemic inflammation disrupts every hormone pathway in your body. It impairs thyroid conversion, it drives insulin resistance, it elevates cortisol, it suppresses progesterone. So, when a woman comes to me and says her hormones are everywhere and nothing is working, one of the first places I look is the gut lining. Because if the gate is compromised, everything downstream is affected. I hope this is making sense, y'all. Nourishment that supports the gut lining. We're talking collagen, glutamine rich foods, zinc, short chain fatty acids from fermented and fiber rich foods. Y'all, is not optional in perimenopause, menopause. It is foundational. Fourth, timing matters. Your gut microbiome has a circadian rhythm. The populations of bacteria that support hormone clearance are most active during certain windows. Eating late, particularly eating large, complex meals in the 2 to 3 hours before sleep, disrupts that rhythm. It shifts microbial activity in ways that impair clearance and compromise the gut lining overnight repair process. So here's what makes this particularly relevant for the women within our community. Cortisol naturally begins to rise in the early morning hours to prepare your body for waking. When you eat a large, late meal, you are asking your digestive system to stay active during the window when your body is trying to initiate that overnight repair and hormonal reset. The two processes compete. And in menopausal women whose cortisol rhythm is already dysregulated, that competition has consequences. Disrupted sleep, elevated fasting glucose in the morning, increased inflammatory markers, and impaired estrogen clearance the following day. This is why meal timing is part of nourishment. Listen, not because it's just some arbitrary intermittent fasting rule. No, because your gut biology is time sensitive. And in perimenopause, menopause, when your circadian rhythm is already disrupted by fluctuating estrogen, protecting your gut's internal clock becomes even more important. Now, I want to take a moment here and just let some of this settle, okay? I know, I know this is a lot of information. And I also know that some of you are listening to this and feeling something click into place? That feeling of, oh, this is why. Hmm. That's the feeling I want you to stay with tonight. Okay. Not the stress of everything that needs to change. I don't want you to go there. I don't want you to have a mental list of supplements to order or foods to eliminate. Okay. Just the recognition that your body has been operating inside a system, a complex, interconnected, hormonally active system, and that system has logic to it. I want you to take a slow breath here if you can, in through your nose and out. One of the things I've noticed over years, okay, of practice is that the moment a woman finally understands why her body is doing what it's doing, something shifts physically. Physically, the nervous system responds to comprehension the same way it responds to safety. When the mystery resolves, the threat response quiets, and that matters hormonally because a regulated nervous system is a better hormonal environment. So, if tonight gave you even one piece of that, one mechanism that makes your experience make more sense, that is not a small thing. That is the beginning of a different relationship with your own body. Your symptoms are not mysterious. They are the output of a gut hormone axis that is under supported, under explained, and under addressed. And that changes this month, y'all. That's changing this month. Everything we're doing inside the Nourishment Flow Circle this April is built on this foundation. The gut hormone connection is not a side topic. It is the lens through which we look at every nourishment decision. What you eat, when you eat, how you eat, and what your specific hormonal pattern needs from the food you are giving it. You are not going to leave this month with a meal plan. You're going to leave this month with a clinical understanding of your own system that you can apply for the rest of your life. Y'all, that's what metabolic literacy actually means. Not tracking macros, not following a protocol someone handed you, knowing your body well enough to make decisions from the inside out. Now, before I let you go tonight, I want to give you one thing to take into the rest of your evening. Just a question that I want you to sit with. Where in your body do you feel the disconnect between what you're eating and how you feel? Just notice it, okay? I want you to locate it. I want you to give it some language. Noticing is the beginning of the work we're going to do together this month. Your gut is talking to your hormones right now, tonight. As you wind down, as your body shifts into its overnight repair process, as your microbiome begins its own circadian rhythm, the question is whether you're giving it what it needs to do that work well. Now, that's what we're going to figure out together in April inside of our Nourish and Flow circle. And it's free. Listen, if you're watching this from outside of our community and this is landing for you in particular, the link to take our free gut hormone archetype quiz is in the description below. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes, really depending upon you, and it will tell you exactly which hormonal pattern is driving your symptoms, okay? That's where everything begins. For those of you already inside of our community, I'll see you in the community. I want you guys to rest well and have a wonderful, wonderful, good night.